you actually get onto, and that's the only reason why I'm interrupting people, and that's something I saw yesterday for the first time as well. When I've got the chat option open on the side, it actually transcribes what I'm saying. I realized that for the first time yesterday afternoon when I was teaching, because I have it open because sometimes you guys type messages in there, and it still happens, but it's a new function apparently that Microsoft.
Typing what you say.
Yes, it's typing what I'm saying. It's frightening because if you read it, you say, "Oh, maybe." Yeah, but it's funny. But anyway, it's a new function. I haven't seen it, however, copied into the recording. Okay, you will still just see what you see on the screen. Okay, the slides. I'm not sure. I haven't checked.
Using it,
I'm using it because sometimes students reply, type in the chat box and then. Yeah. Okay, but now the entire discussion, the entire presentation is actually transcribed.
Yes.
Very interesting. But it's not going. It's just a fun fact. Anyway,
I think we can see it.
You can see it while the session is live, but not. Okay.
When it saves.
Oh yes.
Because I remember one of my lawyers things, it said like transcript save.
Right. So it's an additional to the recording. You can actually, but it's not the transcription is not uploaded onto Canvas. Interesting. Anyway, we'll deal with. It's a surprise every day. I was just very surprised when I was looking at the screen in the previous class that I presented, and I said, "Oh, hello, what's happening here on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side?" Oh, that's exactly what I'm saying. Okay. Anyway, another.
Saying the same stuff all the time.
Yes. Is it saying the same stuff? Is it saying exactly what I'm saying? Is it transcribing what I'm saying as I say it?
No.
Okay, you guys can have a look at it, read and see if it is. I can't. I'm not a chameleon. I can't. I can't move.
Look, it's the same wording all the time.
Maybe because it has to move down. Like I don't know. Anyway, this is just a fun new function from Teams. People, we've sort of touched on technology. Technology, we know, is a force that has impacted on all levels. It has now made some processes easier for salespeople. It has made some processes easier for for consumers, for buyers. You have more access, and we'll have a look at all of that, because traditionally we can almost you can almost apply this to teaching and learning as well. The traditional way that I'm talking about myself and my generation, have been used to, and I think in many schools it still happens, is that the teacher is in the front of the class and the teacher is the only source of information. The teacher tells you this is it and this is the facts, and you have a textbook in front of you, but nothing else. And now, because of technological advances, we have tablets, we have phones, we are connected 24/7, and therefore, from a business point of view, customers are better prepared. Customers go into the sales situation more prepared. You've done your research. You've Googled. You've been on how many websites? The first, if I'm going to change, and especially when in organizational buying, when I want to buy a new product, and I'm a business. The first thing, and I even do it as an individual consumer, if I'm buying something for the first time, immediately I go online. I check and see if this business has a website. That's usually an indication to me that, okay, these guys are okay. At least they have enough money that they could design a website, so they should be okay. And that also provides me a look into the business, because the mission statement's on there, the product catalog is on there, and that's an indication to me that, okay, I can maybe go to their shop, because if this is what their website looks like, it's almost a duplication of what you see in a retail outlet. And that's important to customers. But because of that, customers get into the whole process of buying better informed. When you go out and buy your first car, okay, you'll probably take your parents with because they still have to pay for something or deposit or everything, and then make an individual arrangement between you and them as to how the repayment's going to happen. But you, let's assume, have successfully graduated, you're working, you're buying your first car, you are going to be very anxious because this is costing a lot of money. I mean, if you're earning 10K a month and 2 or 1.5 or 2 is going towards your car because your flat is 6K and whatever, it's an important decision to take. It's the financial risk that you stand, or what you stand to lose if you make the wrong decision is so much greater. You take more time to be informed, and because of that, when you as an individual consumer take the trouble to prepare yourself, you will speak to your friends, you will speak to family members. You know what brand car your parents drove and are still driving, and that they are happy with it, that you grew up with, and you're comfortable with that it's a reputable brand. Your own needs will come into it as well. You will Google websites and whatever, and you'll find out when you walk into a dealership to buy a car, you're pretty prepared. Okay, the salesperson is not, and that's often what happens nowadays. It's often that the prices are fixed because the seller knows. The seller at the dealership knows that you've done your homework. Okay, so you're not, it's more a question of negotiating, maybe adding extras onto the price and stuff like that, because there's no tow bar fitted or there's no sunroof or whatever that you want in your vehicle. Those are all extras. That's not included in the original price and the fixed price, but fixing a price like that takes all that anxiety out of it, because then nobody's going to negotiate about the price. When businesses do business, they just don't buy one at a time. When I go into a shop, I'm not going to buy, or into a dealership. So, okay, right, let me tell you one thing, Mr. Salesman. If I'm happy with what I hear, and after we've had a test drive, I'm happy with the car that I'm going to buy 5. Oh, you're going to buy 1. You can only afford 1. Most of us can hardly afford 1. Okay, but at least then, if that's the purpose of the visit, then you'll buy 1. Businesses don't buy 1. Okay, so I want you to go to Macro and buy us a 32-inch monitor, a 120-bit operating system desktop. It must have these and these and these and these functions and so many ports and this and that. And yeah, a proper keyboard, okay? No. And then when you come back, they'll say, oh, you know what? We need another one. They buy 5, 10, 20, 50. This is a classroom. We can seat probably 2, 4, 6, 8. We probably can seat 30 people in this classroom. So you're going to have 30 monitors. You're going to have 30 desktops. You're going to have 30 keyboards. Businesses buy in bigger quantities. And then, yes, negotiation becomes part of it. The whole process of the technological advancement and the impact it has on organizational buying, on selling to organizations from a seller's point of view, is that the seller needs to up his game as well. The seller very often, the seller's role has become slightly different. They don't have to necessarily now persuade the customer anymore. The customer knows what he wants, has done his homework, and you basically have to just reiterate what they know already, and they will have certain specific questions and demands that you as a salesperson have to answer. So the role is reversed. The role is establishing a good relationship with that customer and not necessarily try and make a sale. They've made the sale in the head already. Okay, so slightly different, but the impact of technology has impacted on organizational buying equally as it has with individual consumer buying. And the general forces. Yeah, we know, and we'll see in a later chapter, I think it's chapter 15, direct selling. Direct selling has played an increased role, especially through the internet. That has made it so much easier, and and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we're devoting a chapter later on. I think it's chapter 15. We're not doing chapter 16. Chapter 16, by the way, is the only chapter that we're not doing in this book. No, it's actually not chapter 15. But anyway, regardless, it's a chapter later on in the text that we specifically address direct selling in greater detail.
So we need the whole picture.
The whole textbook, except, and again, this is 11th edition I have in front of me, so I'm not talking to students who have access to the 10th edition. The 11th edition, we're doing all the chapters except chapter 16. There's 17 chapters, and we are doing 16 of those. 1 to 15 plus 17, that's basically it. Right, more of that later. Managerial forces. We've seen that because of the changes that we have so far, or the forces and the impact of the forces that, or the influence of the forces that we have already addressed so far in the chapter, the blending of sales and marketing has not always been as effective as it could be. Usually because of poor communication. And that's where, if you can remember from yesterday, there was a diagram that we addressed that indicated to you where specifically in your marketing strategy your sales contribution is important. It was in the forecasting, it was in the market analysis, it was in the budgeting. And if these two functions, selling and marketing, do not work complementary to each other, you're going to have a problem, because the message that you want to actually send out is going to the wrong people because you're using the wrong marketing communication methods. You're running a promotion, or you're sending somebody to attend an exhibition, but that's not where your intended target market is going to go to find information on the product. Okay, and it's usually if those when there's a new promotion on, the salespeople should know about it at the same time that the marketers know about it. You're not going to place an ad and then tomorrow morning you are flooded with calls and people are saying, oh, just especially you guys are running. I mean, fantastic. I want to book a test drive for that new BMW on Saturday. You didn't even know there was a promotion on and a special running. Okay, so that's some of the challenges of pure communication between the two functions of sales and marketing, and why it's important that they work together. And therefore, it's also it's come to a point where they almost jointly are responsible for the success of the business reaching its targets. And that's why it's so important that in sales nowadays that you have a proper qualification, because you are going to be dealing with relationship management more than anything else. Your sales skills are not as it doesn't have to be as articulated as a few years ago, because your function as a salesperson is very much involved in managing the relationship with your customers. Right. You'll see that throughout the module. For your own purpose, you can do it at home. There will still be class tests. There will be 4 class tests. They've already been loaded, and the dates are. You can probably see them on Canvas already, because they have been published, but obviously you can't access them. Okay, so that is on top of your class test that you'll be doing this semester. In each chapter, there's a little revision page like this as well. Just when you finish with a specific concept, just to Okay, we've done this work in class today. I want to watch a recording again, but I still want to just stay on top of what I've done. Okay, go to this revision page. The revision page will tell you this is what you have to do. By the way, for those online as well, your class test for this semester, the 4, I think you write 2 before and 2 after. Yeah, or maybe 3 before your test and 1 after the test, before your exam, because we've got 11 weeks for this semester. And I think it's only 3 weeks after the test before your exams. 1 study week before you start your exams, and that's why the majority of the work will be done prior to the test, but not all the chapters will be covered in the test. Okay, because I can't work halfway through the course in 8 weeks, and then the rest of the course in another 3 weeks, and so we consider it 50-50. It wasn't done like that. Okay, but your class test, the 4 class tests that you're writing, regardless if it's 3 before and 1 after the formal test, or 2 and 2. Will be all multiple choice. Multiple choice and true and false. Okay, no essays like this. Essays will be left for exam purposes and for test purposes. You'll find, and we'll address that later on, closer to the time, but your formal tests, and I think both your formal test and your summative is going to be open book. More applied than actually just finding it somewhere in the textbook. But both will be open book. Okay. You think? You think?
Open book. Yeah.
Well, if you prepare well enough, you will come. But you need to prepare well.
You need to.
But I can say, for economics example, I also got the word from PC, but then I really prepared really well, and I was it's the best of it. But then still,
Right.
you didn't prepare and you go to the
But now it's happening.
People are nuts. Another element. Another aspect that is important in and that influences the buying decision making is the sales channels, distribution channels, sales channels. That's basically the channel route, the route that the goods take from a manufacturer until it's in the hands of the customer or the user or the buyer for that matter. And therefore, it's very important for managers that when they prepare their sales strategies, they have to select the correct distribution channel for the product that they are distributing. If it's obviously the shorter the channel, the less people are involved, the less intermediaries are involved in the distribution process, and because it's shorter, it's obviously cheaper as well. The type of product will affect that as well. If you look at in the textbooks, now I'm not going to refer to the textbook because I have the 11th edition and not all of you have. So the pages are not going to necessarily always correlate, and that we've established that yesterday already. But the specific market is important. If you are targeting a market of consumer household goods, products that people, toothpaste, milk, bread, products that consumers buy on a daily and a regular routine basis. You want a very effective distribution channel because customers want those products on the shelves when they walk in the shop. If you're running out of a specific product, you need to ensure that you have a sufficient supplier and a proper distribution channel. And that's often why many of these big businesses have eventually converted to conducting their own distribution. They're just getting it from the supplier. So they go out to Kellogg's, they know going to depend on Kellogg's to deliver their products to the Pick and Pay outlets. They will get it from Kellogg's, they will put it in the Pick and Pay storehouse, and when it runs out of a particular shop or runs out of stock, they will get it from the Pick and Pay warehouse and not directly from Kellogg's. Okay, so it depends on the type of business and the type of market that you want to reach. The product itself, similarly to that, the product in the market is going to determine the length of the distribution channel, the cost of the distribution channel, and that's why we have in marketing, which is probably not fresh in your memory from your first semester, yeah, that's ages ago. You have different distribution structures, if you can still remember. The one that's directly between the manufacturer and the seller, and then we have where there's retailers and wholesalers involved. Those are all different distribution channels. Where a product finds itself in its life cycle also influences the decision when you are selecting a specific channel. If it's a new product, you want to get that product out to as many markets as possible, as quickly as possible. So you are going to use an extensive distribution channel. You're not going to go to the guy next door who only delivers to the bakery on the corner. You want to get to all the big retail shops, and you will deal with different intermediaries in the distribution channel that will be able to deliver. Commercial selling, different types of production. This is not extremely important. I actually don't know why the slide is in here, but since it's there, it's just important to realize that there are different reasons why and different ways in which production happens. But sometimes it's just one particular job that needs to be done. In other words, you look at somebody who's in the tailoring business or in the wedding dress business. Okay, this is a sort of a once-off customer. Okay, I'm not too sure if too many businesses who are selling wedding dresses are actually, or wedding shops are actually too interested in a long-term relationship with their customers. Okay, but they are very much into it in a specialized market. And they design and make a dress specifically for an occasion, or if it's for a male customer, a specific suit for a certain occasion. It's not something that you will find out there on all the retail shelves. Then you have batches. Sometimes businesses want the same product on a repeat basis every 6 months. A specific business orders the same quantity, or maybe more or less of a particular product. Those are not items that are produced and then stored. It's items that is produced in a batch as the need of the buyer is made known. For instance, you are in the t-shirt business, for instance. You are printing and designing t-shirts. There's a specific function. The host of the function wants a t-shirt that they can actually hand out to all the attendees of that particular function. Once they know how many people will attend, who specifically will attend, if they want to personalize it, they will put in, and that's a batch order. Okay, for a specific occasion, it's produced. You're not going to make 5,000 t-shirts if the order is 1,000, because what are you going to do, especially if it's an event specific item, you're going to be stuck with 4,000. Okay, so you're going to just specifically produce that batch that was needed in the quantity that was needed. Mass production, totally different. Coca-Cola are not going to make 1,000, are not going to bottle 1,000 cans of Coke or bottles of Coke if Pick and Pay in Goodwood orders 1,000. There's nothing going to happen with those codes. They've got expiry dates way beyond there's a sell-by date, yes, but there's an expiry date as well. They will manufacture to their capacity whatever they can. That's what mass production is. And they will distribute as you place your orders. Okay. So that's not, they're not waiting for a specific occasion. They're manufacturing because the customers are thirsty. Process production, that's where, like I said, right at the start of the chapter, a specific process is followed, items are needed, raw materials are needed, specific equipment is needed in a process that will result in a different product, a different end product. So in other words, a combination of different raw materials, chemicals and whatever is produced and supplied to the manufacturer of a particular product. They need certain ingredients. Talking about that, I will still have to, for supper this evening, it's my turn to do supper this evening. I've got something in mind. I'm not going to share it with you. I want it to work first. I want to see. It's something I'm going to try for the first time. And no, I think I might have said before that I quite enjoy MasterChef. That's if I have to watch TV, and it will be sports or MasterChef. And they did a recipe the other evening. And I thought, wow, no, that sounds nice. It tasted, it just, by looking at it, you could see it tastes nice. Okay, and I thought, I'm going to try that. But obviously, it's not with ingredients that you usually find in your cupboard. So that's just a side note to myself. Don't worry. I'm sorry if I made you hungry. I know it's lunchtime, but we're almost done, and then you can rush off to wherever you go to graze. But yeah, it's an example of what process production is. Different items is required to make the end product. Okay, different raw materials. I need some spices, I need this, I need some proteins, I need whatever needs to go into the recipe of what I'm going to concoct up this evening. So if I'm not here tomorrow, my experiment didn't work. No, I'm not very much of a I'm creative when it comes to cooking, but I don't want to experiment too much. Okay, I've got a very acquired taste, and obviously because I'm making it for the family as well, I know what their tastes are, so I can't experiment too much. Right, I think we have enough time to finish off with this section on how do you sell services. Now, services we know are totally different to products because of what we see on the next slide. There's 5 specific characteristics: intangibility, inseparability, variability, perishability, and ownership. Can you remember from first year marketing? Okay. Products are tangible. In other words, you can taste it, you can smell it, you can use your senses. Services are different. I can pick up the cell phone, it's in my hand, it's actual tangible, I can touch it, I can push the buttons, I can see how it works or not. Where's my slideshow going now? Are they jumping here? Okay. Before we get to the different characteristics that distinguish products and services, and that's important that you understand the different characteristics, because the different characteristics of products and services is going to impact on how you sell. Now, when you're selling services, because services take on different shapes and forms. A restaurant is a service. Airlines are services. Garden services, work in your garden. Those are all different forms of services. What Stadia is offering you is a service, the service of education. Now, the normal marketing mix, remember the 4 P's of marketing: product, price, promotion, and place, right? In addition to that, when you are selling a service, there are 3 additional P's that we add to that marketing mix. Those are people, processes, and physical evidence. Physical evidence referred to the environment, the restaurant, the ambiance of the place, the layout, the decor, all of these things. And sometimes even if the business is big enough, it's the delivery trucks, everything that can be branded and that represents that business. And that adds to the experience of the customer. The processes is You can't just rock up at a very, very Lani restaurant. You have to make a reservation, otherwise you're going to be disappointed. Okay? I'm pretty sure nowadays with the restrictions it's going to be a bit easier to find a place, but still there are restaurants who have been, because they were, when we were in complete lockdown and none of them were open, they weren't even doing home deliveries, and they now reopened, they are fully booked for the next 6 months. And I'm not sure if it's only because of that they can't operate at full capacity, but still, the popular ones will always be popular. So you cannot. There's a restaurant, very exclusive restaurant on the West Coast called Wolfgat. Now the owner it's a very small place. I mean, and the menu changes every day. It's not a sort of a spur menu that you know what you're going to get. He changes the menu every day, and he also, I think it's about a 20 seater max. He's won awards abroad. You're talking about a 3-course meal for $650. Okay, it's expensive, but the chef, he's the chef. He's got assistant chefs, but he's the chef. He's the owner. He's the chef. He comes to your table, explains the cuts of the meat that you're going to take. It's an education. It's not just you walk out of there and say, wow, now I know how to make this recipe. But he's also not going to repeat that tomorrow. He's going to have something different. So it's an experience in itself. Now, that would be an example of a specific process that's followed for you to actually get an evening there. I went there, but I had to book 2 years in advance. I went there 3 years ago. I had to book 2 years in advance to get in. Only because obviously the seats are unlimited, but also because it's so popular. Anyway, it was worth the wait, I can tell you that. Yes. Your taste was changed. But unfortunately, his menu also changes. It's a surprise anyway. And then obviously also very important, people. That's the element that actually makes a service successful or not. Okay. If we look at the different when we look at the different characteristics that differentiate between products and services, the ones on the screen. Tangibility referred to the fact that you can touch a product, that you can use your senses. You walk past it, you can smell a product. Can't smell a service. Some services you can. And again, that's where the combination comes in, and that's why a restaurant is more sort of a hybrid. It's a service because you don't have to cook the food yourself, and somebody is waiting on you, and you're paying for that convenience. You don't have to clean up afterwards, and they use the combination of the decor and the smells and everything because it comes from the kitchen. And I mean, yes, but you can't smell the service. Unless your waiter smells. But you can't smell the service. You can smell the food that forms part of the service. Otherwise, yes, exactly. If there wasn't a product, that they wouldn't have been offering a service. Okay, so they need the product to offer that service, and that's why they call the hybrid, because they better both. Airlines exactly the same. Airlines, a service. You can't take step number 5. Or characteristic number 5, you can't take ownership of a product, of a service. You buy the cell phone, it's yours. You buy that hamburger, it's yours. A service, totally different. You don't own the guy who comes in, the garden service guy that comes and does your garden. You're only paying for the service of manicuring your garden. You pay for your plane ticket, but you are not the owner of that plane. You have temporary access to use the plane to go from A to B. But it's not your airline. And I think nobody wants to go into that business nowadays anyway. Perishability. Perishability referred to the fact that the products a product can be stopped. If there's a special, remember last year we were into lockdown, people were flocking to shops to buy toilet paper and certain essential items that they know doesn't have an expiry date and that they can stock up. Service is not like that. You can't book a flight to fly from Cape Town to Joburg, 8 o'clock on Friday evening, coming back 8 o'clock on Sunday evening, and then on Saturday mornings or on Friday afternoon says, oh no, I'm not going to go this weekend, I'll use it next weekend. Sorry, you've missed your flight. If you want to go again, you have to book again. So there is a sort of a period linked to it, an expiry date used to linked to the use of a service. Okay? You go to book a hotel, a seat at a restaurant. That's not your restaurant. You only buy into the experience. When you go home, it's it. Somebody else takes that seat. Nothing more evident than in a family restaurant where they're trying to, during rush hour, get you out quickly so that the next people waiting can actually get a table. Right, people, I'm not going to embroider on it too much any further. I'm going to leave us here at 2 o'clock on this wonderful Thursday afternoon. It's quite chilly though in Cape Town. I'm going to, like I usually do, ask you to please enjoy yourself, but remember to be safe. Stay safe. Sanitize, wear your mask, and keep your distance, please. Until we see each other again, or don't see each other again, until we actually chat again, and that will be tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think we have one session, and that is 2 o'clock. Yes, 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Everybody, stay well, stay safe. We chat again tomorrow.
Bye, sir.
Keep well. Thank you. Bye-bye.